Ahsoka returns, people get Jedi Force pushed everywhere, and Baylon Skull smells the fart acting. Pop Tot, what did you think of the penultimate episode?
This episode has a lot to offer. You have space battles, you have lightsaber battles, you have stormtroopers shooting and getting thrown around. It was a really good episode. I did enjoy it. Like you said, Ahsoka finally gets to the planet. She reunites with them after having to get through a boneyard in space to hide out. You get a little more Thrawn.
However, we are getting to know our adversary. And if she's anything like her master, she'll be unpredictable and quite dangerous.
It was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I think the only part was there was a lot of Baylon Skull just kind of staring off into the distance, and he cut Shen loose and like, okay, we're done here, and she's like, wait, what?
Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat.
I think if I was to have a title for this episode, it would be Wait, What? Like, so there's, again, and Dave Filoni wrote this episode, there's things that Dave Filoni does that I love. Like, he's so good at doing build up, world building, just getting things to have the scale or the Star Wars feel. But then there's times where people are talking in conversations or there's scene setups that I'm like, wait, what?
Your ambition drives you in one direction. My path lies in another.
So, for instance, the scene with Ezra and Sabine, when they were talking with the little rock people or whatever, Sabine kept being coy with information with Ezra, and I didn't really understand why.
How did you? What? Find me. You never said.
It's complicated.
Basically was so coy about Ahsoka being dead, and she was under the belief that Ahsoka was dead.
So where is Ahsoka? Is she coming?
And then, you know, I've mentioned it several times, but for some reason we keep doing this political jargon shit with Hera and this guy that's clearly a bad guy.
Star maps, star whales, distant galaxies. Honestly, are we to believe any of it?
The OG cameo.
The Honorable Senator Organa has become aware of an unfortunate situation.
With the loss of Carrie Fisher, unfortunately, they can't just. I don't think they're going to CGI her, so they had to 3PO to these court proceedings that General Syndulla is going through. And there's like one senator that's just like this utter douchebag for some reason.
Yeah, it's
rules and laws which General Syndulla seems to have no problem bending to fit her personal agenda.
It's like he's either a full-on hidden imperial or he's just a dick for no reason.
Right, he's just like a huge bag of dicks.
I object. In the strongest terms.
And then, again, a little more political intrigue, but it doesn't really, it's not, it's not really part of the main story anymore.
It just, it hasn't done anything for me. There's zero nuance to it. Not that Star Wars has ever been science fiction, it's science fantasy, but there was always kind of this little bit of imagery towards, Nazis and stuff like that. And the nuance is just not there. It's just a guy being a dick.
I'll tell you what I see. I see a general who abuses her authority for personal gain, and I will not stand for it.
Ironically, the episode started off very similar to how it did in the last one with, the whales jumping and stuff. I'm like, all right, we need to get Ahsoka needs to be a part of the plot. Like, this is kind of a problem for me. And that goes to another fault, which I know I've had a lot of faults in general with the series, but I'm trying to figure out where the Thrawn benefit is.
Right. No, and so this is leads into what I was going to say is that Elsbeth spent a great amount of fortune in years to put together the ship to find Thrawn, only to question him in every scene that he makes where he makes a decision. And she's like,
I see only our enemies reunited.
We got to see Imperial gunships from Rebels, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I do enjoy the chemistry between Ezra and Sabine, and I really enjoy the actor that they picked for Ezra.
Ahsoka took me on as her apprentice.
She what? Why? I mean, congratulations.
I really think it's like, well, you could just really X out this whole thing and just have Sabine and Ezra in a show together. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm a big fan of what they like. I feel like there was a natural progression from the Rebels Ezra we see to now.
No, the Force is my ally.
I'm trying to figure out what goes from here. Like, I don't really know what Thrawn's plan is. They're loading cargo into the Star Destroyer.
Well, we've discussed this in our prior show reviews. The streaming seasons have become so much shorter.
Yeah.
They're 8 to 10 episodes if you're lucky. You can't afford filler. No. So much of Star Wars series have filler in them, and I'm glad for it in certain ways, because there's, it's Star Wars and it's galaxy building, it's world building. I like it, but at the same time, you can't hurry up and wait kind of thing, and then you get to that last episode, and then you're 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag.
Right. Like, I'm like, okay, wait, this next week's the last episode. That's a lot of things to fill in.
Stop it. Stop crying.
What happens to all these characters that we don't hear about them in the sequels?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there's not really an organic fit to what happens with the sequel trilogy, which even though this came after, I'm more willing to blame the sequel trilogy, because I had no pre-planning at all. But
well, and somebody in the comments would probably argue and say, well, again, it's a big galaxy and these plot lines don't overlap. But the showrunners are introducing it by bringing 3PO and bringing Mon Mothma, and so you can't dance on one side with the show and then ignore in the movies on the other side. I don't know.
Yeah, that's always my problem with nostalgia bait, which is, it's cool seeing 3PO, but that's kind of how I felt. Was like, I don't know where Leia fits in here other than name dropping. It's the same thing with 3PO. It's like, it saves Hera's ass, but we were written into a corner anyways, because this whole stupid, we're not believing Hera is silly.
An unmitigated disaster.
Overall, what would you rate this episode, the 7th episode of Ahsoka?
I'd give it a B+. I mean, it had everything in it. It had a really good pacing to it, except for this smell the fart acting on a few occasions.
Take this big pause where you look all intense, like this.
But I really did enjoy it, and it was, I think the entire runtime from the first scene to the end of the scene was 39 minutes, and it had a fast pace to it. Like, it felt like it was only 20 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm probably a B-. I know I talked a lot of frustrating stuff. I still feel like the production value, the scale, the special effects are usually consistently good to great. Obviously, having Ahsoka back was huge. I like seeing Ezra. The guy they picked for Ezra is great. I liked his connection with Sabine, and obviously seeing him with Ahsoka was great. And then his kind of evolution of character, I felt like might be even better than what they're doing with Ahsoka. I'm a little confused in terms of what the end game is for Thrawn.
Time is very much on our side now.
And his worry / not worry about what the good guys are doing, and then what Baylon's going to do. It just leaves a lot of open questions for the finale. But
well, I would have liked just for them to have like a MacGuffin for them to explain how Ezra has hidden from Thrawn for a decade. Right. Just like, these guys and their little shielded RV bug ships.
That kind of goes to that whole, I don't understand Thrawn's tactics whatsoever. He was, we're using our troops that we lost to abide time, and it's like, but outside of Ahsoka, who just came, Sabine and Ezra pose no threat to him whatsoever, and so I'm like, I don't know. And even now, Ahsoka really doesn't against Night Sisters. Night Sisters are a whole different. I don't know. It's like, I'm just not really sure where the finale is going to come from. But be sure to let us know in the comments what you thought. Are you happy to see Ahsoka be in the spotlight again? What do you think Thrawn's evil plan is? Let us know in the comments, and thank you guys so much for supporting as usual. It means the world, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.